The Galactic Dominion had waged countless wars, but this one was unlike any before. For the first time in a millennium, a species refused to kneel. The Dominion had overwhelmed hundreds of worlds, shattered empires, and erased civilizations with merciless efficiency. Their fleets numbered in the millions, their technology unmatched by centuries. No one held out for long. Then came humanity. When the Dominion reached the borders of human space, they issued their standard demand: surrender and serve, or be erased. Most species capitulated at once, but not the humans. Their reply was bizarre. No frantic bargaining, no pleas, just a single transmission acknowledged, no threats, no supplication, just acknowledgement. The Dominion's War Council laughed. Another backward species too arrogant to know fear. The invasion fleet, 50,000. Ships strong, advanced, expecting another swift victory. The first human colony fell quickly. Resistance was fierce but futile. Railguns and nukes against hyperplasma and singularity torpedoes. The settlement was crushed in hours. The second took longer. Days instead of hours. Humans resisted harder, their weapons hitting with inexplicable force. By the time the Dominion reached Earth, they anticipated a shattered, desperate species. Instead, they found Earth waiting. Defenses locked, calm, and then the humans sent a single ship. The Dominion assumed it was a mistake. One small vessel drifting toward the fleet's heart. It barely pinged their sensors. Its power output was laughable. Admiral Zral smirked at the tactical display. They think one ship will change their fate? His officers chuckled. The human craft was a speck amid tens of thousands of Dominion warships. Then the speck moved. No evasive patterns. No dialogue, no negotiation. It accelerated directly at the Dominion flagship. They thought it was a suicidal charge, a last, desperate ploy. Then Dominion shields flickered, systems shut down, and then the horror began. The ship wasn't firing, it was the weapon. Admiral Zral had only seconds to process it before every comm channel filled with screams. Ships went dark. Crews vanished, not dead. Gone. The ship kept going, slicing through the fleet like a scalpel through tissue. 50,000 ships entered within minutes. Silence. The lone human ship sent one final message before vanishing. Acknowledged. Panic gripped the Dominion's high command. 50,000 vessels, gone. Not defeated, not disabled, gone. No debris, no escape pods, no alarms. Just devoid. News raced across the empire. Citizens raised to believe in Dominion supremacy whispered in dread. Analysts scoured the records. Again and again, nothing made sense. Admiral Zral, dead. His command vanished. No traces, no signals, only silence. And that ship? Gone? Final message? Acknowledged. The Dominion had met resistance before, but never this. This was not a defeat, it was erasure. And worst of all, they had no idea how the humans did it. Emperor Voron Chor stood within the vast throne hall of the capital world. Tension radiating from his massive form. His advisors spoke in hushed panic, struggling to form reason from madness. "We must retaliate," a warlord growled. "Send everything. Burn their worlds." "Idiot," hissed a strategist. "You'd send another fleet when we don't know what happened to the first. They didn't fight us. They unmade us." The chamber fell silent. That was the true terror. The Dominion was built for attrition. They could lose millions and win by sheer scale. But this time there were no losses, only nothing. The Emperor turned to his chief intelligence officer, a tall, calculating figure with golden eyes. "Do we know what that ship was?" The officer hesitated. "Not fully, my lord, but we did intercept something." A screen blinked on, showing grainy footage from a distant scout ship, far enough to survive. The human vessel, sleek, unthreatening beside Dominion dreadnoughts, moved. with unnatural precision. Then came the distortion, space twisted, the footage zoomed in. For a heartbeat, the very fabric of space bent around the ship, and then Dominion ships vanished. No blast, no energy spike, no traces. The officer's voice was tight. "It's not a weapon as we understand it. There were no emissions, no impacts." It's like they bypassed physics itself. Shudders rippled through the chamber. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "And where is the ship?" A long silence. "It's gone, my lord. No trace." For the first time in Dominion history, fear entered the Emperor's voice. "Find the humans," he commanded. "Find out what they are, and for the love of the stars, do not provoke them again." But it was too late. As the Dominion fumbled for answers, the humans sent one more message. Broadcast to every Dominion frequency, just 2 words: "Still watching." Panic spread again. Entire fleets recalled, defenses fortified, labs working without pause. The clock was ticking. Dominion analysts worked frantically, dissecting every fragment of data, but nothing added up. 50,000 ships erased without a trace, and now the humans were watching. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Dominion felt something unfamiliar: fear. On Zyros 9, the most secret of the Dominion's research worlds, its sharpest minds obsessed over the enigma of the human vessel. Every byte of sensor logs, every intercepted burst transmission, every hypothesis was torn apart and re-examined. One truth emerged: no weapons had been fired, no pulses, no kinetic impacts, not even exotic radiation, nothing measurable, just that. One moment of distortion. "It wasn't a weapon," murmured Dr. Calter, a senior xenophysicist. His tendrils quivered as he stared at the replay. "It was something else, something deeper." "Explain," barked General Vorin, arms folded and posture rigid. Calter hesitated. "Our ships didn't explode. They didn't even break. They were removed, like reality edited them out, as if the universe rewrote itself." "Impossible," snapped Venn, another scientist. "That violates every physical law we understand." Calter turned, his gaze cold. "Then maybe the humans understand laws we don't." His words silenced the room. For centuries, the Dominion considered itself the intellectual apex. But what if humans weren't just another emerging race? What if they were something else entirely? As the scientists floundered in theory, the intelligence division turned to a simpler mission: locating the source. They knew of Earth, classified. Category 3, technologically advancing but nowhere near interstellar tier. They had no known reality-bending weapons, no experimental crafts matching the ship. So where had it come from? Agents combed comms relays, breached human networks, decrypted everything they could, and found nothing. No trace of secret projects, no discussion of anomalous tech. Humanity went about its business. News anchors debated politics, soldiers drilled at standard bases, civilians shopped in cities bathed in neon and apathy. It was as if even humans didn't know what had happened, and if it wasn't them, then who? As fear took root, a new signal arrived. This one had coordinates. Unlike the previous cryptic broadcasts, it came from a specific point at the edge of Dominion space. The message was blunt. One ship was enough. Do not make us send another. It was a challenge, a dare. Dominion pride swelled, the Emperor deliberated. Warlords demanded retribution. Strategists urged caution. In the end, he compromised. Send a fleet, not massive, just 1,000 ships. A warning. A message. If the humans resisted again, this fleet would make them explain. The ships launched within the hour, warping toward the edge of known space. Every soldier, every captain, every officer knew they were entering the unknown. None realized they would never return. They arrived at the coordinates. Nothing, just empty space. No stars close by, no stations, no moons, just darkness. A trap or A test? Admiral Jarth Kren stood on the bridge, frowning at the tactical screen. No contacts, no disturbances. Just void. One ship was enough. Do not make us send another. The words echoed in his thoughts. He'd dismissed them before. Now, he wasn't so sure. Full scan, he ordered. If they think empty space will scare us, they're wrong. Sensors scoured the abyss. Nothing. No ships, no mines, no anomalies, no stealth signatures, just stillness. Then the lights flickered. Kren turned sharply. Report. Minor fluctuation, the comms officer said, antenna twitching. No source detected. That didn't sit right. Dominion warships didn't glitch. Recheck all systems. Before the officer could finish diagnostics, a second flicker. This one stronger. Multiple ships affected. Dread gripped Kren's chest. Something's here, he whispered. Something we can't see. Then came the screams. Sir, we're losing ships. Kren turned to the display. Icons winked out. No explosions, no maydays, just gone. Is it cloaking? He snapped. No, sir, the comms officer stammered. They're just disappearing. That word again, disappearing. Kren's claws dug into the armrests. Full retreat, now. But we haven't. Now! The fleet scrambled to flee. Engines flared. Warp drives spooled. Too late. Space itself shivered. Kren's eyes widened. Something moved in the dark. Not a ship, not even a being. A presence. A ripple in the stars. Then the voices came. Not through channels, not via sound, directly into their minds. You were warned, and just like that, the Dominion fleet ceased. Back on the capital world, the Emperor watched the battle feed. 1,000 ships tracked in orbit across a glowing display. Then they vanished, every icon gone. Gasps filled the throne room. Warlords, scientists, and strategists froze, stunned. No, someone whispered. The Emperor stood slowly, trembling. Tell me this is an error. No one answered. The only thing left on the screen was a message. Final warning. Silence overtook. The Dominion. They had finally found something stronger, and they were completely, terrifyingly powerless. Panic rippled through the Empire's elite. The 1,000-ship fleet was gone. No signals, no wrecks, no survivors. The pride of the Empire was gone, erased from the ledger of reality, and above the Dominion now loomed a message, hanging like an executioner's blade. Final warning. Emperor Voron Chor stood motionless, his vast form shuddering as he read the words. Around him, the once proud warlords and strategists stood in stunned silence. Their arrogance was ash, scattered in the wake of something they could neither face nor understand. What do we do? A minister finally whispered, voice cracking with helplessness. For the first time in 1,000 years, no one had an answer. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy through brute might. Their fleets had been unstoppable, their will, law, but now humanity, or whatever power shadowed them, had rewritten the rules. The apex predator had become prey. 3 days later, the unthinkable happened. For the first time in its history, the Emperor sent a message not of defiance, not of vengeance, a surrender, not even a request for terms. Just 4 words, broadcast into the emptiness. We do not resist. Then they waited. Hours passed, then days. With each tick of the chronometers, fear deepened. Would silence bring another erasure? Had their submission come too late? Then came a response. Not through their comms. Not via ships, but across every Dominion system, every screen, every console, every projection hijacked. One word appeared, glowing across reality as if written in the bones of the universe itself. Acknowledged. That was all. No demands, no judgment, no retaliation, just the cold recognition of surrender. And in that single moment, the Dominion knew. They had been spared, or worse, they had simply become irrelevant. The Dominion never recovered. They never sent another ship beyond their borders, never again reached for new stars. The vast empire shrank, coiled inward like a wounded beast, To outsiders, it still seemed mighty, still boasted fleets and banners, but within, they were hollow. They were no longer conquerors, they were survivors, and every night under the stars, every citizen, every general, every emperor who followed would stare out into the dark, knowing something still watched, something that had erased 50,000 ships without effort, something that had given them a final warning, and if they ever crossed the line again, there would be no mercy. Time passed. Years bled into decades. The Dominion, once the galaxy's terror, had become stagnant. Its war fleets now patrolled their own borders like leashed predators. Expansion ceased. Conquest was memory. Fear redefined their identity. No one spoke the name of humanity, not in public, not in private. Their name had become a ghost, murmured only in shadows. But fear alone does not hold empires together. Dissent festered. Some whispered that the empire had surrendered too quickly. Others believed they had survived by dumb luck. But the most dangerous whisper was this: humanity had never been the enemy. Deep within the Dominion's most restricted intelligence vault, an encrypted file slept for decades. The last transmission. From Admiral Kren's fleet, locked away under Imperial seal, but secrets in an empire fraying at the seams never stay buried. A young scientist, ambitious, curious, found a way in. She expected logs, tactical footage, data anomalies. She found something else, not human, not in any known tongue. A message, ancient and impossible, a voice that layered upon itself in echoing, unnatural harmony. The translation systems struggled. Even so, its meaning pierced through. The boundary was tested, the line was crossed, the consequence was delivered. Then came the final line. They are not your doors to challenge. The scientist froze. She barely had time to register it before her access was revoked. Within hours, she vanished from her home. She was never seen again. It was never humanity that fought the Dominion. They had no ultimate weapon, no hidden armada. They may not have even known what had occurred. Something else had intervened. Something older than the Dominion, older than humanity, something that watches, and for reasons unknown, humanity is under its protection. The Dominion was not defeated. It was warned, and far across the galaxy, in the blackest places, beyond where even fear dares whisper, something stirred once more, because the boundary had been tested once, and the next time there would be no mercy.